First story. My entitled stepdaughter cleaned my backyard and demanded the money I promised, so I grounded her and refused to pay because I only offered it to my kids and never included her. She sulked and talked back, so I took my kids on a vacation to her favorite place, excluding her to teach her respect. Now I have lost everything, and I regret everything. I'm 42 and remarried for just over a year and a half. I have 4 kids from my first marriage: 17M, 15F, 12M, and 9F. My ex-wife and I split custody. I get them every other week. I remarried after dating my now wife 38F for a little over 2 years. She has a daughter, Emma 13, from a previous relationship. Her dad's never been in the picture, so she's been living with us full-time since the wedding. From day one, it's been rough trying to blend things. My wife wants everything to be even and fair, all the kids treated the same, all chores split equally, everything done together like we're the Brady Bunch. But let's be real, that's not how life works. My kids have known me their whole lives. We've got our system, and it works for us. Emma came into a house that already had rules and routines. Back when I got divorced, my kids were cold towards me at first. I'll own that. I wasn't the most present dad in the early years: work, stress, and their mom handled most of the discipline. But when I left, I decided to build a better relationship with them. That meant rewarding good behavior. They do chores, and they get paid or earn screen time, outings, or whatever. Simple. It's been the same setup for 4 years. They know the deal. Emma's been resistant to it since the beginning. My wife pushes for equal treatment, but Emma acts like she's owed it before proving anything. She doesn't do consistent chores. She huffs if I ask her to vacuum or take out trash. But then she complains she's left out or not treated like the others. The thing is, I've never said she couldn't be part of the system. I've told her she needs to actually stick to it. But every time I assign her something, it's an issue. Then she tries to cherry-pick, jumps in when there's a reward involved, skips out when there's none. There's also been smaller flare-ups. Like when my kids and I built a fire pit in the backyard last fall, I told everyone up front, help out, and I'll take them out to dinner wherever they want. Emma refused, saying she didn't feel like doing yard work. Then she got pissed when the rest of us went out for steak without her. My wife said I should have included her anyway. Why? She did nothing. This isn't a charity. Anyway, a few weeks ago, we hosted a BBQ for my family and some neighbors. Maybe 20 people total. I pulled my kids aside before it started and told them, help clean up after. I'll pay each of you $20 like usual. That's how it goes in our house. My wife was busy inside prepping food with Emma. At some point during the party, I guess Emma overheard me telling my kids the plan. After everyone left, I found all 5 kids outside gathering trash and folding up chairs. Emma was collecting cups and tossing stuff too. I didn't say anything, figured she was trying to make a point or hoping to get praised. But I never told her to help, so in my mind, it was on her. After cleanup, I handed out the cash to my 4 kids. Emma comes up and asks if I'm sending it via Venmo or handing it out in cash. I told her, I didn't ask you to work. I only offered it to my kids. Don't jump in expecting payment when no one told you to do it. She froze, then asked again, this time angrier. So I did the same work and got nothing. I said yes, because you weren't part of the agreement. She didn't like that answer. Said I always treat her like she doesn't belong, and this is why she hates living here. Then walked away. I wasn't about to let that kind of attitude slide. I called her back and said talking to me like that was disrespectful. She rolled her eyes and muttered something under her breath. I couldn't make it out, but I wasn't going to get into a back and forth. I told her she was grounded for 2 weeks. No phone, no outings, and added daily chores for the duration: dishes, vacuuming, folding laundry, basic stuff. Not 10 minutes later, my wife comes into the room heated, demanding to know why Emma's crying and why she's grounded. I told her exactly what happened. She says, so you punished her for helping? No. I punished her for being rude. She wasn't asked to help. She inserted herself and expected a reward when she didn't get it. She threw a tantrum. That's not how this works. My kids know the system. Emma's been told. She's not new here. My wife says I should have paid everyone or no one, because singling her out like that was cruel. I disagreed. I told her Emma doesn't get to jump in when there's money involved, and then complain when the payout doesn't go her way. That sets a bad precedent. She'll think all she has to do is show up and expect equal treatment without equal contribution over time. She needs to earn her place just like my kids did. She says Emma has been trying. Maybe in her eyes, but I haven't seen the consistency. I'm not going to reward effort when it only shows up when cash is involved. I told my wife that Emma needs to stop acting like a guest and start acting like she wants to be part of this family. But that includes following the rules. Wife didn't take that well. She said I was gatekeeping what counts and playing favorites. I told her that's bullshit. I've been clear since day one how my house runs. She knew this before she moved in. Later that evening, the kids took their chore money and went down the street to the gas station for snacks. They came back with ice cream. Emma asked for a bite. They said no. She looked hurt, and honestly, it wasn't a great look. My wife told me to either tell the kids to share or buy one for Emma myself. I said no, that was their earned money. If Emma wants that kind of treatment, she needs to earn it too. I wasn't about to undermine the entire system because someone got their feelings hurt. She said, "You're showing her she's not one of them." So I said, sarcastically, "Be good siblings and include your sister." But the tone was obvious. The kids didn't share. Emma stormed off. My wife glared at me like I just drowned a puppy. After Emma went to her room, my wife followed her and stayed up there for a while. When she came back down, she was full on pissed. She said I'm intentionally humiliating Emma and making sure she knows she's second class in this house. She brought up old stuff, like when Emma asked to join the kids' allowance system months ago, and I told her she needed to show she could stick to chores for more than a few days before I'd officially add her to the rotation. She said Emma stopped trying because I kept moving the goalposts. I disagreed. I told her consistency means doing things without asking, "What do I get for it?" every time. She then said Emma has been trying to fit in. But every time my kids get something, Emma has to fight for scraps or explanations. She mentioned the fire pit incident. The time I took my kids to an amusement park and didn't invite Emma because she hadn't earned a reward yet, and a situation where my 15-year-old daughter and Emma both came home with good grades, and I gave my daughter $30 and told Emma, "Nice job, keep it up." I don't see a problem with that. One's been in my system, one hasn't. She accused me of making Emma prove she deserves to exist in my house. I said she does need to earn being treated the same way because she didn't start here. My kids already built up a relationship with me. I'm not going to automatically put Emma at the same level just because my wife thinks titles make families. Blood or not, you still have to earn respect. My wife finally snapped and yelled, "She's not your employee or a contestant auditioning for Best Child, she's your stepdaughter." I told her that title doesn't override my rules. She demanded I undo the grounding and pay Emma something for helping. I said absolutely not. If anything, that outburst only proved she needs the grounding. I reminded her that I was the one running the house financially before she even entered it, and I wasn't changing things because she thinks feelings matter more than discipline. She said if I kept treating Emma like an outsider, I'd lose them both. I told her if she wants to run away because I won't cave to emotional blackmail, that's on her. She called me selfish and controlling. I said she was undermining me as a parent. She said I wasn't parenting. I was running a hierarchy where my kids are the real family and Emma's some intruder auditioning for approval. The next day, she barely spoke to me. Packed Emma's bag after school. She told me they were staying at her sister's for a while. I told her if she takes Emma out before her grounding is done, she'll pick it back up when she returns. She said, "We'll see about that," and walked out. Haven't seen or heard from them in 3 days. I texted saying I wasn't changing my stance. Emma will finish her grounding and do the chores assigned, or she doesn't get any privileges when she's here. No response. Meanwhile, my kids have gone back to their normal life here. Honestly, the house is less tense without her walking around upset all the time. But now my brother is telling me that I'm making a huge mistake and alienating my wife's kid for no reason. My mom said she kind of sees my point, but maybe I'm being too harsh. A coworker said I'm either going to have a divided family forever or a second divorce soon. I still believe I'm teaching structure and not rewarding entitlement. If I give in now, I set the tone that throwing a fit and running away gets results. Emma needs to understand that respect is earned, not given because she feels like she deserves automatic equality after doing one group cleanup. My wife thinks I'm being unreasonable and cruel. I think she's expecting me to pretend Emma is on the same level as my kids when she hasn't built that relationship with me or proven consistency in our system. I'm not going to hand out equal rewards just because she helped one time, especially when she only jumps in after hearing about payment. So Reddit, be honest, am I really the arsehole here? Comments. Comment 1. YTA. And not in the small mistake kind of way, in the you're actively screwing with a kid's mental health kind of way. You seriously typed all this out and didn't once stop to think, wait, am I literally punishing a 13-year-old for trying to belong? You didn't ask her to help. Fine. But you saw her working. You let her work. You waited until after she'd put in effort to drop the "you're not one of mine" hammer. That's not structure. That's manipulation. You talk like she's applying for a job and has to earn her place. She's a effing child living in your home full time. She's your stepdaughter. You married her mother, knowing she came as part of the deal. But every example you give, the fire pit, the good grades, even the damn amusement park, you keep pushing her out. It's like you've been waiting for her to fail so you can go, see? Not worth it. Honestly, the worst part isn't even the money. It's the way you used your bio kids to isolate her further. You let them go buy ice cream in front of her, let them exclude her, then double down with sarcastic mocking. You're 42. She's 13. You're bullying her. I hope your wife stays gone long enough for you to reread this post and realize the mess you've made. You're not just a tat, you're the effing villain in your own story. Comment 2. Jesus Christ, dude. You typed all this out and still thought you might not be the arsehole. Let's walk this through. You made a point to tell your bio kids you'd pay them. Emma hears it and decides for once to actually help out. You don't stop her. You watch her work. You don't say, hey, this isn't part of your system. You just sit there, let her bust her arse, then turn around and go, lol, not you. That's not structure. That's a bait and switch. You act like she's this manipulative freeloader. She's 13. She's not trying to game the system, she's trying to be seen, to be treated like she belongs. But instead of saying, hey, I saw you help, that meant something, you ground her for having feelings. You added extra chores to prove your point. Also, your wife. 100% right to leave. You've been earning respect from your own kids with money and perks. Emma's been earning rejection. No wonder she's crying all the time. You've made it clear she's not welcome. You sound like the guy who runs a household like a company, but forgets that families aren't jobs. She's not your employee. You don't get to write her off because she wasn't here for the onboarding process. Massive, undeniable YTA. Fix your SHT, or you'll be a single dad again, and deservedly so. Comment 3. YTA. You've basically turned your home into a caste system. Your biological kids are the inner circle. Emma's on probation with no clear path to promotion. What you did at the BBQ wasn't just unfair, it was cruel by design. You saw her trying. You watched her clean. You waited until the money came out to make it clear she wasn't included. That's not how structure works. That's a power play. You wanted her to know she doesn't count. And what's worse is you hide behind this idea of, she needs to earn respect. Dude, she's a child. A child whose mother married you and moved her into your house full time. That should be enough to at least give her a shot at being treated like a human being, not like some charity case you might one day decide is worthy. You're not raising her, you're managing her like a hostile employee you don't trust. If she doesn't comply, she's punished. If she tries to fit in, she's reminded she's not one of yours. This isn't discipline. It's emotional starvation. Update. Alright, since my original post blew up, and I've been getting called every name under the sun, here's an update. Not to apologize, I still stand by what I said, but to clarify some things people got twisted and explain what happened after. First, let me say, I do care about Emma. I love her. But love doesn't mean giving people a free pass just because they cry or get emotional. That's not how real life works. My kids know that. My house has always run on structure, respect, and consistency. That hasn't changed. After my wife left with Emma, I waited 3 days. I didn't text her because I assumed she needed space. But I did text Emma. She's 13, old enough to start learning adult accountability. I told her, when you're ready to come back and follow how this house works without expecting special treatment or comparing yourself to others, then we can talk. But not until you're ready to show respect instead of demanding it. I didn't go through my wife. She wants to be treated like one of the family. That means direct communication too. While she was gone, the house felt better, calmer. No one walking around sulking, no one watching the others like they're enemies. My kids were laughing again. I'm not saying Emma is a bad kid, but the mood changed without her here, and I'm not going to lie and pretend it didn't. I took the opportunity to formalize something I've been thinking about for a while. I created what I call the Family Behavioral Integration Plan. It's a written set of expectations for all kids in the house, but particularly for Emma, since she's still new here. A few key rules. No crying or emotional shutdowns when given criticism. No asking for payment unless assigned a task directly. No comparing rewards or privileges with other children. No disrespectful tone or challenging of adult decisions. These are fair. If she wants to be included, she needs to meet the same standards my kids already met years ago. I offered my wife a compromise, too. She kept saying Emma deserves the same financial treatment. I said, fine, then you pay her. She can be on your chore reward system until she's proven long-term consistency with mine. I'm not investing in someone who's been here less than 2 years and still treats me like a villain every time she doesn't get her way. You don't fund startups without seeing ROI. Why would I fund behavior with no proven results? My wife didn't respond. Meanwhile, I took my kids to this trampoline park, arcade place Emma's favorite, as a celebration for how well they handled the BBQ and helped me around the house all week. We had a great time. I posted some pics on Facebook. Love my real crew, ride or die. If that upsets people, then maybe look at the fact that they've earned that bond. I'm not faking connections for social media optics. 3 days later, my wife showed up. Not alone. Her sister came, along with 2 movers. She walked straight past me, refused to speak, and started packing Emma's room. Then she started clearing out the living room. Half the furniture was gone. I told her she was being ridiculous. She lost it. In the driveway in front of neighbors. Mind you, she yelled that I was emotionally torturing her daughter and turning my kids into cold, robotic clones. I tried to get her to lower her voice. My 12-year-old filmed it on his phone. He posted a clip to TikTok. It's already at 17K views. But it didn't stop there. My 15-year-old daughter asked me that night if I really sent that text to Emma. I said yes, and I stand by it. She went quiet, then packed her things and asked to go live with her mum for now. She left a note in her room that said, I don't want to be part of your test-run family values anymore. That one stung, but I honestly think my ex and my wife are in her ear, poisoning her against me. Then Sunday hit. Church. My wife's been close with our pastor for years. Apparently, she told him everything. And what does he do? Not talking to me directly, no. He crafts his whole sermon around guarding our hearts from pride, remembering humility in parenting, and not measuring our families with scales of fairness. It was obvious. Everyone was side-eyeing me. I walked out halfway through. I don't go to church to get ambushed by a theological guilt trip, because I won't coddle a teenager. Now, I'm down 1 stepdaughter, possibly 1 daughter, half my furniture, and a community that suddenly thinks I'm some abusive monster because I believe in structure. And yet somehow I'm the arsehole for expecting people to earn what they get. My wife abandoned my kids. No one's talking about that. She left them with a torn-up house, a broken dynamic, and no warning. But I'm the cruel one because I won't give a crying teenager $20 after she forced herself into a chore session I didn't authorize. And let's be clear, I do love Emma. But love isn't pretending. She's new. Relationships take time. You don't get unconditional rewards out of the gate. My kids had years to build what we have. She's been here less than 2. I want my wife back. I miss having a partner who backed me and who believed in discipline and values. I'm not saying I handled everything perfectly, but I don't believe I'm wrong for expecting structure, consistency, and respect from everyone under my roof, not just the ones born here. So Reddit, what now? How do I fix this without sacrificing the values I've spent years building? And why is everyone acting like I'm evil for not handing out equality like candy when it hasn't been earned? If you've got real advice, I'm listening. But if it's just more YTA with no substance, don't bother. Comments. Comment 1. YTA. Massive. You're a calculated arsehole. Let's count the ways you doubled down on being cruel. You texted a 13-year-old directly with an ultimatum instead of talking to her mother. You wrote a probation checklist that literally says, no crying. You told your wife to pay her own kid if she wants equality. You posted gloating pictures of the kids at Emma's favorite place while she was gone. And then you bragged about the house being calmer. You weaponized a chore payout to humiliate a child, and then acted surprised when the mother moved out with her kid and took furniture. You think the pastor calling you out is an ambush? The whole congregation saw the pattern. Your 15-year-old moved out and left a note saying she didn't want your test-run values, and you're asking how to get your wife back without admitting you were a monster. Newsflash. People don't leave because someone coddles a kid. They leave because they don't want to watch a child be systematically excluded. Grow a conscience or prepare to be alone. Comment 2. YTA. But I'll be specific. You built a system and then used it as a moral cudgel to enforce loyalty to bloodlines. Systems are fine until you weaponize them. Your family behavioral integration plan is a checklist for emotional suppression. No crying when given criticism, that's gaslighting. No comparing rewards. That's a rule designed to stop kids from noticing inequality. You didn't just fail Emma, you modeled to your bio kids that exclusion is acceptable. Imagine the imprint. When conflict comes later, your kids will default to your framing because you rewarded them for it. They learned to film mom yelling in the driveway and post it online instead of resolving things privately. Your behavior created a feedback loop. You ostracize, the kid cries, you punish, the mother escalates, and the whole family fractures. You're also making a huge strategic mistake thinking ROI applies to human beings. That language reveals how you view people as investments. That will cost you relationships. Fixing requires humility. Tear down that plan, apologize publicly to your kids and wife, not performatively, and get family therapy. If you can't even see why you're the problem, you're irreparable. Comment 3. Let me put it in terms you might understand. Your leadership has failed. Your strategy backfired. The retention rate of your household culture is dropping. You lost your wife, your stepdaughter, your 15-year-old daughter, and your community support. Morale is in the toilet. Public image C, Facebook and TikTok is tanking. Why? Because your system was built on favoritism and manipulation disguised as meritocracy. You think labeling abuse as structure gives it legitimacy. It doesn't. What company survives when the CEO actively tells new hires they're second tier until they earn full status, while refusing to let them compete fairly? You created resentment, and now you're reaping it. No one wants to be part of a system designed to break them down. So sure, keep calling yourself logical. Just know you're the last one left in a crumbling organization where everyone quit you on purpose. Update. Thought I'd give one last update since everything's basically blown up past the point of return. I don't care if you all roast me again, clearly this sub leans emotional over logical parenting. But here's what's happened since. After the last post, I tried to take the advice that wasn't just, you're an abusive monster. Some people said maybe family counseling would help. Fine. I scheduled a session. My wife refused joint counseling, so I signed Emma up for a youth responsibility program run by a licensed behavior coach. I figured if she could learn how to communicate without crying and work within a structure, maybe we could meet in the middle. My wife called it re-education camp for kids who don't stroke your ego. She didn't just refuse to let Emma go, she sent an email to the coach calling me emotionally dangerous and threatened to involve legal counsel if I contacted Emma again without going through her. A week later, my son turned 13. I planned a birthday party, rented a local laser tag place, ordered a cake, invited my other kids, and left the door open for my wife and Emma. They didn't show. Not even a message. My 15-year-old texted, "Happy birthday, bro," but didn't come either. Later that night, I found out why. My wife had filed for divorce. Not only that, she was working with my ex. Apparently, they had met a few times already. My ex-wife's lawyer sent an updated custody request. She was challenging the current arrangement, using my daughter to show texts I'd sent Emma, and that behavioral plan I wrote to prove I was creating a hostile environment. So I tried a different angle. I emailed her an invoice. I itemized Emma's stay with me down to the cent. Rent, food, utilities, even a $12 time lost charge for a day I had to deal with her school. Sent it with a subject line: "Since you want equal treatment, here's your half." My wife printed it out and brought it to mediation as evidence of deep-rooted cruelty. After that, the fallout got worse. One by one, my kids started pulling away. My 17-year-old said he didn't feel comfortable visiting. My 15-year-old blocked me on everything. My ex told me to stop texting them guilt trips, or she'd seek a restraining order. I begged them. Told them I loved them more than anyone on earth. Told them their mother was poisoning them. They didn't respond. The court ruling came a few weeks later. Between my text messages and testimony from both my ex and my now ex-wife, the judge rewrote custody. I only get my youngest two kids, 12 and 9, because they're not old enough to legally choose. The older ones don't have to visit. They haven't. Financially, I'm F-ed. Legal fees, mediation costs, plus splitting everything again in the divorce. I had to sell my bonus vehicle and cash out one of my retirement accounts. I did win the furniture back in small claims court, so I got my couch and coffee table, but the living room's empty anyway, because nobody sits in it anymore. Church? Done. Our pastor asked me to step down from volunteer work and take time to reflect on the damage I may have caused. That was a polite way of saying I'm no longer welcome. I left during the service after he brought up parenting without pride in a sermon. Now, I sit in my house half full of furniture, with 2 kids who barely speak, an ex-wife who despises me, and a stepdaughter I'll probably never see again. I tried to make structure work. I tried to keep things fair. I love them all, including Emma, but you all act like love means giving kids whatever they cry for. I never hit anyone. I never yelled. I didn't curse them out or call them names. All I did was expect standards. All I did was hold people accountable. And for that, I've lost almost everything. Don't bother commenting with YT as. I've seen enough of those. I've been made into a arsey hole because I didn't pander. You want to know the worst part? I still love my kids. Every single one. More than anyone can imagine. And they're gone. So congrats, Reddit. You got what you wanted. Hope the rest of you enjoy your chaos-first parenting styles, while your kids walk all over you. I did what I thought was right. And I'd probably do it again. Second story. My mom was a fun girl when she was young, and changed after she got pregnant with me from one of her flings. Now, 23 years later, I had a chance to meet my father. I 23F had grown up without a father. A little bit of background. My mom was addicted to drugs, so home wasn't an option for her to stay at anymore. She would hop from place to place, living where she could, whether it be with friends, boyfriends, drug dealers, etc. She later found out at the age of 19 she was pregnant after getting into a car accident. That was enough to scare her into the reality that she needed to grow up. She got her act together, went to college, and is now almost 10 years sober, living her best life. With that past in mind, though, you can kind of understand why it wasn't anyone's fault for not knowing. She had a lot of friends who were men, no shade. Mom, you gotta do what you gotta do. My mother was young and dumb and made decisions she regrets. But I never held that against her. Growing up, I didn't have any trust with men. I resented almost all the guys she would date or have over. I was never abused/sod, but I never let myself get close to or be alone with them at any moment. I would watch true crime with my grandma, so I knew what men did to little girls. I never had a father figure to go against that, so I never trusted them. They were all SHTTY anyways, and she deserved so much better. That also made me have the stigma that all men, especially black men my mom would date, weren't the ones to mess with. And for the record, my mom is white, and I am mixed. After experiencing this, I had no intentions of meeting or knowing who my father was, because if he was anything like the men I saw, I didn't want anything to do with him. I would wonder, though, who he was, what he looked like, and if he was even alive or not. Fast forward to now. I'm engaged to my fiancée 23M, going on 8 years. I have learned to trust through them, and even have a better view on men, while not completely hating them. Lol. I also got to know his father, who isn't perfect but loves me like his own. As well as having my mother's father, who was always there if I was in trouble, and would educate me on stereotypical men things like cars, fishing, and fixing things. I am extremely grateful for them both to be in my life. I and Mum are on really good terms now, and we would have frequent talks about who my father could be. All she remembers is that before she was in the car accident, she had eyes for a guy who worked at a liquor store and would let her crash at his place before he left for a different state. She never remembered his name, though. Last Christmas, my soon-to-be male gifted us both ancestry DNA tests. My fiancé would always say things like, "Maybe this will help you find your dad." I would shrug it off or seem uninterested because I was more curious to see what ethical background I had. 8 weeks after I sent off the test, we finally got results. I was shocked. Not only did I find out that I have multiple African countries in my percentile, but I also found my half-brother on my father's side. Who would have known this would change everything? I saw that we shared a whopping 25% of DNA, and I got curious. My interest in finding who my dad was immediately sparked into existence. It was like I actually had a chance. My first thought was Facebook, and wouldn't you know he had one. I messaged him explaining the situation. Before sending it, I had so many thoughts, like, what if he thought I was lying? So I made sure to send a screenshot of the results. What if he doesn't care or doesn't want anything to do with me? I hesitated a lot, but after staring at the send button, something inside me said, push it, and it happened. Days go by and nothing, until there was something. He was so happy to hear there was another person in his tribe. He's very down to earth. I was so relieved I started bombarding him with questions, but also apologizing if I was bothering him. He was always late to reply, but I was patient. I expected the worst, and was ready if he decided one day to just stop replying altogether. He finally told me his father's name, and I decided to search for him as well but found nothing. It wasn't until he posted a picture with him and tagged his Instagram that I would find him. I DM'd him on Instagram and was so amazed by the response. Turns out, even though he doesn't remember my mother, he lived in the same area as her before moving out of state and worked at a liquor store. Things started to add up. He gave me his number so that we could keep in touch and talk about other little details that might spark his memory. He would constantly tell me, "You look like us. That's why I'm still actively invested." He said he would take a DNA test as well from the same website, so we both would know. He has 5 other children and is a big family man. He loves his kids and would talk to me about them. Since we both had our hopes up, he would shoot notes like, "Your brother, your sister, your aunt," like he was accepting me, even though he didn't know 100% for sure yet. All we knew was that his son was my brother. But I had little doubts, like, what if it's off by a bit? Maybe he's my cousin and not my brother. Regardless, we are family, right? I had to prepare myself for the worst just in case. After talking for 4 months, we finally got the results back. It was a normal day. I was on my phone when he sent me a screenshot of the results that read, "You and I are a match of 50% daughter and father." My fiancé was cooking dinner when I showed him. I broke down in his arms. It was like a huge weight had lifted off my shoulders. My heart was racing. It felt like I was having a panic attack that was filled with joy. I finally got answers that I wasn't even searching for until now. We talked on FaceTime for the first time and both cried. He apologized for not being there for any of my firsts. First walk, talk, love, heartbreak, everything a father should be there for his daughter. I told him he had nothing to be sorry for. He had no idea and wouldn't have known. He's been so nice and everything I could ask for in a father. I can't lie. It's a bit weird for me and will need some getting used to. I mean, I don't even call my fiancé's dad. I never had someone to call that until now. He has messaged me every day since then, telling me good morning and to have a great day, and that we will talk more in depth and make plans to meet up to see my other side of the family. I'm excited as well as nervous. This is a whole other chapter in my life that's about to unlock. I always felt that things happen for a reason, and that since it's happening right now, it's the best time. I truly can't wait for this adventure. I can't thank my mill enough for this. I mean, I always wanted to do a DNA test, but it was always too expensive, or I'll get around to it. I'm forever grateful. Comments. Comment 1. I love this so much, and am so happy for you. My son is on a journey to find his bio dad. We know his mother, but not his dad. He's getting very close after 4 years. He thinks he has found a paternal aunt. She agreed to a test with the same DNA site, and we are waiting for the results. I pray he gets the same happiness you are feeling right now. You give me hope for him. OP. Thank you so much. I'm sending good vibes that he will get his piece. Comment 2. You say no shade to your mum for having many male friends. But isn't that why you grew up not trusting any men? I mean, maybe some shade is warranted. OP. Good point. I was technically talking about before I was born. But she still had many guys in and out of her life after I was. So I did have some shade. But I've grown and forgiven all of her mistakes. Not living with her anymore made a huge difference with our relationship. Update. It's been a while since I posted this. You can find the original post on my profile, or I'll try and link it. I'm an amateur at Reddit posting. But long story short, my mill gifted me an Ancestry.com test, and I found my half-brother, which led me to my father, and it was the best case scenario you could think of. He was so accepting, and it was a magical moment. Right after I posted this, I met my dad a couple of months later. My now husband and I flew to Arizona, and he greeted me with one of my younger brothers, 21 at the time. I gave him the biggest hug, and we both cried. The rest of the trip was hours of catching up. I brought baby pictures to show, told stories of my childhood, and it was sudden, but we even went on a little road trip together to Sedona with his wife and my 3 younger siblings. It was definitely fast-paced for my brain to even react. However, all of this couldn't have worked out better. He, my siblings, and his wife all accepted me with open arms. It was the trip of a lifetime. We had our moments when there were no words, just realization. I had a father who happens to be a great guy, and he had a daughter that he missed out on so much with. To this day, he apologizes for not being there. That is, if he knew. My life wouldn't have had to be missing that other piece that created me. Because he is everything I am that's different from my family. We are both patient and good listeners. We are both fire signs, so we immediately bonded lol. We are both introverted extroverts and wear our hearts on our sleeves. He is spiritually inclined, and we can talk freely about our beliefs and discuss similarities. He's Christian, and I'm a scientific believer / semi-Christian. We are empathetic, and when we talk, it's so natural, like I have always known him, and that he was just waiting for me. Later that year I got married. And of course he and my siblings were invited, and they came. His wife is shy and decided to stay behind with my sister, who is autistic and doesn't travel well. Which she is my only sister, BTW, and I always wanted one. My other side of the family was so excited to meet them and questioned if he would be walking me down the aisle. In which I responded with, no, and he's okay with that. Because I don't know if it's just me, but we just met and we're still not that close. So I felt like that job was made for someone who would literally be giving me away. So my grandpa did, and everything was beautiful. We did have a father-daughter dance, though. Literally a thing I never thought would happen. He even made a speech that wasn't expected. But man, did he deliver. Tears were flowing from everyone. I still danced with my mom, but also encouraged all mothers and daughters to come up and dance as well. It was to slipping through my fingers from Mamma Mia. Both moments were so special and made that the best night of my life. Now I've gotten even closer with him and his side of the family. People have reached out and added me on Facebook, and even texted me out of the blue, informing me they were from his side. I've never felt so loved by strangers in my life. It made me think of myself and how I was content with never finding this out. Being okay if I had never gotten a DNA test. Where would my life be right now? This was life-changing, and I thank a higher power for sending me such amazing people that happen to be of my own flesh and blood. I hope you all like this update. It will probably be the last. Happy endings are always my favorite, and hopefully I can inspire others that are in my situation. Even if it is a dead end, I still recommend finding out where you came from and what your history is. It was fascinating finding out the little traits I had that were passed down to me. Comments. Comment 1. This is very heartwarming. But a question. How did your parents meet? Didn't they know each other? Or was it just a one-night thing? OP. So it was complicated. I don't know if you can see my other post, it won't let me link it. But she was in and out of homes, and he let her crash a while. But they both were young, and supposedly only had a couple of nights together. My mum said he had to leave town because he had a 4-year-old, my older brother, I found on Ancestry, and left way before she knew she was pregnant. And she had other partners between then. I've shown pictures to both of them of each other, and they don't remember each other at all. Granted, this was 25 years ago, haha. Comment 2. I love this for you and your bio dad and his extended family. Question. How did your mum react when you first found out about your bio dad? Did she recognize him? Was she happy that you and your bio dad reunited? OP. She was just as shocked as I was, and she was all for me finding out. If she was worried, she didn't show it. I think she trusted that he was a good man from the screenshots I sent her of messages between him and me. If anything, she was excited to meet your night with him as much as I was, haha. Since she was just as curious. Comment 3. I'm not crying, you're crying. Comment 4. I swear, the onion ninjas are ruthless. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.